Sako Proba Between. And you may what don't know whom brunty with you be a babishia. It's here when and theatre in Caboni be a chesa when you may not in ye. And until young coupon yet that was see you are come for show and Munyam or the Wayama. Ejina wasafu menyina nemu na afi asre wo chen apemini mobrohunu se na otwi bibibia o maye ya anche woni monyam no idwatwa o moja dehia ohwegu Calvary no se fa pepa o ma emumuyo enyina fa maye se de be ya anwumre yehia mu tumi no ahodin bi sane wo yeso na homeda konkuni wi hira abaye so anwumre nso yeda wasese wayi Dr. Opoku bedi akon amaye na afi wonam ne so eba be kyerɛkyerɛ pan a ɛbɛfa so a stress bebree ba ekue so no ɛbɛkɔ fam na yɛnya so da som wo nyemre ne srɛ wo nkyɛn adom ne mobulohum si sane wa hoɔden mu wako aso sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ a ɛno sɛ nyemre yɛmfiri w'anim no na ya experience your grace through your servant ɛno nti yo ma enya meduru la yesu nyina yɛdom hyɛ wo nsa fo mbɛka yɛ nsa na enwumre yi awako aso ihira yera wasimpai botiefo nyame yera wasi odomfo ne mobrohunfo ne se homeda yi mu onam wako aso ebihira ewo adom na ensa dane amen sabre before say doctor ebeba no na sere na edesiama amma enwom baako enwom no esia ba cho doctor na yejai achiri na yede ama
with the happy Sabbath, happy Sabbath, happy Sabbath. Mema abusuafo enyina akwaba. I think say mema me so akwaba say menya sa akwanya na menemu eba beche adisuan. Emi say enka enwuma yetie de nka ewie na ze nka yadisuan na nka eba be nka ewie ano no. Senka enwum no mu ensem no nka yede ye adwuma nka mi sɛ nka yɛwie adesua a yɛba bɛyɛ no na ɛnam sɛ ɛnsi saa no nti no mɛfa akwanya so na yɛde asua yɛadeɛ no sɔfo ka sɛ ɛmi sɛ we go way back na nyame na no ɔde yɛba bɛduru baabi a yɛduru no mekae those times mfa ne sɛ sɔfo ɛmi sɛ bɛ 18 years ago mebɔa Nana Menesofo na yedi people teacher kakra or tano so APS. Na child kakra or ha na yedi ababishia. Na ene me pese ye che some ennyoma bi a ye hu currently na me sure say ye cast stress one asema ye mu bebre ye use a term no you can say in a literal form. But who the implication of the word stress ewe ya brabo. Into obinya utimi ka say, oh, I'm stressed out. I'm tired. I'm stressed out. I'm stressed out. Yeah, okro my dear. I mean say oh Ghana ne entante stress na see yi. Ghana dear. At least what you wonya baby da kra na wo fa yubusia ni bi kra utimi frɛ no kra kɔpɛ baby da. Come de wa wofa bikyire hɔ no ma wofrɛ maame manu bajo na wonya aduane bi a wɔse bra na bɛgye bi di ɛha ente saa nti yɛ wo ha die I think say stress no I think say we are able to feel it much better nti na me pese yɛfa some few na yɛsua ɛyɛ stress no ho adeɛ kakra na at the end of the day no me pese objectives a me pese yɛtimi gain one me pese ho ade a stress ne ye stress se ka stress so emphasis was so and I say is it just the negative part ne kwan kwan ben so na sa word stress no affect your pomodin and na ye what we call the predisposing factors and nyoma ben maye and I say tibia ben bu ne kwa maye enya the propensity like the you make an say a frefre yes if the man a frefre number a frefre stress no a bang ye and say memfa na say me feel say my stressed out kwan ben so na me fa so me manage stress no and na me pese and then your china no ye besua na ye besua e bibia fa and na aduane die anyway say and how any of these situations relate and as it play out in our stress symptoms. Until me pese you bear with me. You bear make it quite na yet me bizarre questions. And then you remember try say I will not take so much of your time. Say remember say baby questions and me I can better so chana nyame adoma and then we'll continue from there. It's without much time, so far bonfire my idea. You better so. It's a little bit background. See, because you're dealing with stress, most times, you move a brain, you will outside help. You move a brain, you will social support. You are sorry, you are now for anyway. See, you to me at the boy, who see a quam. But most time, your survival and I say your ability to deal with some of these stresses and I say situations are most times, it comes down to Bronika and say our own ability to initiate techniques which will help us to control our reactions to the problems of life. That is to say, or how near my nearby a brabo. Most times, Kwanya yɛbɛfa so we dealing with it, and sometimes no matter how big we social support to sit here, and then no matter how big we church environment in any ways in this city, so we internal mechanism a boama ultimately deal with some of these stressful events anywhere emaneyeden. And only adia me pese the background of addition yesua no. It is a wo copy mechanism any idea idea wo mu a boama ultimately deal with some of these situations say ensipin sita ema the other support system enye very effective. Enti me pese ye de hye adwem kwan ben so na ebe boa yen ankase ye ho first. And some of the other support now we are kind of like looking out for no yen set me aka. Enti me pese ye de hye ya adwem mu sa. Enti ye ka say stress a day and your friend is stress. Eye just a stimuli ade bi e frefre bibi ba anase kwan ye fast responding to it and your friend is stress. What is it? Inti me pese ye hwe stress what it is kakra. Inti ye ka say stress one me pese de hye adwene mu say stress a necessary companion. You say MSM mpanyimfo na wan bebu bani ye say you o fa wa fa de ujai so wajai o fa wa fa asem ujai so wajai ade me refi bani kakra. But sana akwa so stress, it's a protective mechanism of the body, and it's a basic ingredient for life. And I had to say, alarm system. Fear, men kind of say stress, men uses that metaphor as an example. Alarm system with fear. Alarm system no fear. Having an alarm system at home is not a problem. But say alarm system ekoye fault na obefi na alarm ebo and I say the slightest thing me fan say fire alarm, the fire alarm is supposed to go off when there is fire, but me fan say fire alarm is so much faulty say bi once you kakra say the emilu anoma steam na kakra bi na trigger then off na go off, meaning say the problem is not with the alarm system itself. The problem is because something is wrong with how it is going. Maybe the mechanism anyway. Say it's having the alarm system is not. Let me put it that way. Having the alarm system is not the problem. The problem is how it is working. It's young fancy dream because most times baby didn't say a cassette stress. I didn't say something bad. It is not entirely bad. It is a necessary thing. To help us deal with very difficult situations. For instance, the stress, and answer as an alarm system, and the alarm say a comedy. Since you come there, see a brea, and no ne kai body man say there is something wrong there, so ye baby. And to imagine say you take it that aspect offer. Meaning senka come de okra wu and was obakwa na wo energy stores ni nyina no asan we break it down. But the stress they have its role in a various form, and then I remind you sir. Conversely, in another way around, and I see when they say some of this internal things to say kai say come is come ya bre anyway say I see who say, you will other men say difficult things be and also buy a bra boma and your internal things. And also put so much stress on us. Ebini say our rejaye, ebini a woo, say we about even we were moving. Yen can COVID buy. It's one of the biggest stresses are made in the clinic. In fact, I've had patients pain threshold are shooting over the roof just because of this. The fear of COVID killing them, the fear of even going out. Since I say online shopping are shooting over the roof. Why? Because even for most of us as clinicians, we're not willing to open up our clinics. Because ubi clinic nipa na oba mukra wunnim. Enti ade me pese ye de share adwin mu say complete freedom from stress e death. Say ye take stress ni nyina out meaning say ye because alarm system na eboa ye no hu eboa regulating new money be ekoso ya brabom. See take this alarm system no offer. Meaning say bibi call wrong we wouldn't know. Until me can say the problem is not having the alarm system. The problem is how the alarm system works or how we get it to work. Into me say stress no more or less and in some way no, it stimulates us for growth. Okay. Into idea be can say me can say call a little bit of the technical part, but me spending so much time because I don't want to bore you with it. Most time in your idea be with brain my friend is say the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus in one of the role where you are dreaming on and say nipa be a wadwene and the control center. Okay, and you know you say mechanic say your friend say body incorporated. Some fan say your company be your friend say human body incorporated. The head office in any brain and any regulating the brain in a CEO in that headquarters na your friend head no brain CEO. Now in that part in the what your friend say the hypothalamus what it does and they say a non essence danger and they say all through our body your body send sensations are dear friend say nociceptive stimuli and I say danger messages to the brain for reaction or what they should do. For instance, say one nantia say what descend on the curb, no one descend way. And I say your mommy for watch it, and I say your man wash heels. Now would tia when tia ye was an uncle not I quan. And yes, Anna, your tissues need send a danger message to the brain and say, hey, there's something happening here, and we need direction, we need leadership. Now, hypothalamus is one of the places that senses that danger message in our ban. Now, that danger message, you know, some of the danger message in a bar, and also it causes some secretion. A friend said the corticotropin releasing hormone, and no what. And also another organ, your friend say anterior pituitary. Then also I release what we call the ACTH, what we call the adrenocorticotropin hormone. Okay. Nasa and no sa hormone ye secrete sa hormone na hormone no abaye adrenal cortex ya adrenal cortex no say fast ye kidney no corner a chunk of like that's where the adrenal cortex and man say ewo and I said the adrenal medulla na ehonum no so nti sa hormone firi esoro ho na eba ho no ma nti me say firi soro na eba nti CEO brain no aka kire director for me say finance. Okay, director for finance, problem where is branch way. Now director of finance, ako branch ni CEO, CEO. Okay, then so CEO, one of local branch manager. You say, into a true adrenal cortex, what a producer, dear friend, say adrenaline and no adrenaline. Now, sa chemicals, your friend say adrenaline, no adrenaline, no. Or more, it will also broad systemic effect. The broad systemic effect and say e won sunsun so bebre e wo your body no say we secrete ade friend say adrenaline no adrenaline na enti danger message na free tissues no core brain no there's another processing from the brain na ever down but that processing na ever down no the long and short of it and say e wo a lot of systemic effect meaning say the effect now of the danger no yem fan say Semen fan say nyame mfa sa ma okroma yeti. Semen fan say yaka say there's a terrorist attack and I say security for no at say there's a terrorist attack. And your police for nko na obo so o call that location. We say the feds are there, the police people are there, the fire people are there, the other social services for no are there. All these departments are acting. So most time, you know, say wo fa sa danger message in echo brain na the hypothalamus ni through those mechanisms making a security final product adrenaline no adrenaline na e won sunsun so bebre e wo your body system no you move bebre na at least you nim you the circulatory system, you the muscular system, you the autonomic nervous system. All these systems, these chemicals will effects on them. And simple put, some of the effect, and then they say it be increasing heart rate. The amount of time our heart and wakuma no ebo peri no. Under normal circumstance, for any normal adult, heart is supposed to beat about 60 to 100 beats per minute. Into obi oha said this secretion koswa obese na akoma a beat more than that. And then you can say when you be a BBT say tachycardia, the heart rate ne ekosro more than necessary. You be the link to other diseases. We say into obi wo so say oye stress and I say some of this secretion ne kosro e kwa we say na fifira asase e den till you move be na you attend school dem na we say exam see with him say wa Paul anto na okopa na akotena wo na say paper and then now we know when we be ntre when I was a fifira e den till meaning say you move we can relate to that. It is some of them, under that stressful condition, these are some of the things, because you have increased secretion of this adrenaline and then non-adrenaline into heart rate, cholesterol, who breathe fast. We say, oh, sebio, muscles, we say, why it tensed up. A different vasoconstriction, we say blood vessels, and one more said a bear. You don't just say, these are some of the things, also. Now, the adrenal cortex, with this secretion of adrenaline and no adrenaline, and also so it could release a different cortisol. Any other glucocortisols. Most of these cortisol need glucocortisols, and what they do is say some of them break it down. What we call it, say energy stores. Once you the DNA we say now, some of the you use your store be. And at that point, when there's these secretions now. A possible body say, hey, there's an attack, there's danger, or we are being invaded. Into you're ready. Into at that time, we need a lot of energy for so many things because our heart need beat fast. Our heart no a muscle. The heart na kasana a muscle, and also in here fuel. Into I say beat fast, and now say beat fast, and into I say generating a lot of fuel, and I see you breaking down some of these things, I see you retaining as much water in the body because you need to cool the system down. It's a lot of this, what we call say at the cellular level, you want these changes in echo. It may say this say I dream as I say cause stress now, and yet as simple as say you no. But see a core in the medical field, and there are a lot of these changes are a see. Me say into me say me boy kakra with a lot of this things. But you move on. Into such changes when you see it's so bad in terms of yare. It's so bad na yes stress it made ba. One, it be high blood pressure. Medical can say secretion of this cortisol, adrenaline and no adrenaline na increase is secreted into the bloodstream. What happened? And they say some of them triggers your heart need to beat faster. And the normal circumstance, I can say your heart should beat what between 60 to 100 beats per minute. Obi oha naturally or no already the heart a beat around 80 to 90 beats per minute. Into or no, Memphis say from a free anyhow or no Indian drew had that. Into the slightest thing, fire alarm is already fired up. It's already shooting over the roof. And it's a weird stress. What happened? And I say, cause blood pressure because pressure what blood increase because what didn't hear say there's danger, there's a distress call. And they say heart rate increases, so the blood pressure also increases. And obi has a blood pressure increase, na kuma ni near hodo ya na issues of heart failure aba. Me can say a lot of the neomana is secreted from the ACTH about into the adrenal cortex and I say the medulla just within will run me can say kidneys you dear friend said renal failure and I say kidney failure in simple terms. The renal failure where a lot of the secretions in any way say also happen within our body. The clean up system, no, and also get affected. We say obi wo ha, we say na ni yema hyase. Me sure say you bebre ya getting some of this feeling. We are stress we say all of a sudden na we yam cow sebi mano de subina so. E why we say we feel crash sebi e say we call restroom. Because adena akoso a lot of changes at say we say na ni yema hyase e ka no. Obi wa na ama ni ti me dwa na gaga. Ebi eje obi no kompo. Because pituitary, that is where mostly, a lot of that, back down, most of them will be a jana compo. Ebi, and your diabetes, because the blood sugar na through. Bear in mind, like I said, a lot of this adrenaline, we say cortisol, it break it down your energy stores into simple sugars. The simple sugars is what is used to burn, and then jana and I say firewood na a burning for us to get energy. Until we get a lot of secretion of those simple sugars into the bloodstream, they stay in there longer than is necessary. A causes a stroke. Stroke is the past tense of what? Strike. A strike because it happens so fast. Okay, and your stroke and you move mostly the two. We have the ischemic stroke and then the hemorrhagic stroke, where blood because the pressure and anyways in the increase obi wa moja drobe na e ko ni tirimu no etimi pai because pressure na I to say with the water hose na wo gugu pa so grass so no the pressure na e does be bria say water hose ni ni ahoden a and there's any weak spot be a water hose no we say na den apai enti obi wa ni brain when these are some of the things that happen. What we call the ulcerative colitis. Ni yamuno kind of say we say there's increased secretion. We say na ni yamuno etwakro. It is some of these things are some of the associated diseases. Yem running yentimi and discussing into details as to how the increased stress causes specifically any of these diseases. Maybe say nyame admo in your time you better take one or two of them and then we discuss them into details. But on a surface level, this is how this increased stress, with all those secretions that we can all these secretions, this is how they lead to some of these diseases. Now, it is very important. Some of the other predisposing factors are not normally be a remana nyumba ebini yemu bi wo ha ye stress and I say a self-manufactured stress na ye be discuss here and ya tana se ne criticize stress na maye ho ebi wo ha ye friend what we call the undercover agents like ho nyoma bi na ebi wa yemfie yedi ebi wo ha ye sex man and mema how they will be able to deal with stress. We will talk about some of these things as we go along. But yeah, said normally be it me my enya stress. These are some of the things, and then baby discuss a little bit of the details. Now, senkamre woman maybe or so for say you be time or chinano. Mepe say yemu bia ye share adie we say say bit me screenshot this screener. And also channel measure say technical people no bet me there to Zoom link on the chat session now. Me say a lot of us in me download do adie. And also the Google cra is even accessible the what we call the perceived stress scale. Me say yeah what obia ne de or chena yame adma wian nki ehia me say nke obia benya ne score. Your idea friend said the perceived stress scale, your person will be at least we just a self-assessment who said, oh, you're stressed, and I say you are not. Now, this skill has been developed, been used for quite a very long time, but it's one of the most basic ones that wait me are used to. So we call it the perceived stress scale. We call even Google now. Google perceived stress scale. Ubenya sa skill we. Me person will get there now. Will get to score. No, ochina yebeka hon asem. Now basically it is rated from 0 to 4. It say response never no I'm a 0. Almost never a 1. Sometimes a 2. Fairly often a 3. and very often a 4. And that's how it. Some of the questions in ebi no, and a woman will screen you know. For instance, in the last month, how often have you felt that things were not going your way? And you just have to be honest with yourself and answer this genuinely. Until nowadays, until the either say never, very now, and I say almost never, sometimes, fairly often, and I say we say nowadays, I know. Oh yeah. Once already there's a key. There's a number, and I said there's a number be associated with it. These are some of the things. Another question be with me, say, in the last month, how often have you felt that you were on top of things? This is some of them. Now, many bedrooms say, hey, just 10 questions, 10 questions. So to me, yet these 10 questions now. Now, no, Obi Obenya a score of between 0 to 13, it means that you have low stress level. You are less stressed. So when you have a score of 14 to 26, you consider and say, oh, moderate stress. Obi Obenya a score of between 27 to 40 and above, no, you will be considered high perceived stress. Meaning say, or stress, no perception, was meaning say you are perceived to be stressed. And many bedroom person can yen na home day. Na ya home yen use after ebi and now also chinan yen per time na yen yes skill perceived stress skill we said yen give you a score of that na yen how that plays out in the discourse now so the question is question maybe say what did you get, but me sure say or chinano you will get to know how much you got, what score did you get for yourself, and to know what people obi obe volunteer so odene de be maye no you be use ono ne de no na ye de example na ye de akoto discussion also na ye to aso no be the can say you were predisposing factors and na say new bi a eno na boy eno no maye stressed out no. One, make say self manufactured stresses. Ad new money be stress ni bi wa yana obi kan ye yakofa ya de ababeto ye ho so me fan say we created it ourselves, and obi kan these stresses they are generated they are generated within our minds and mostly they are just a product of our own perception and thinking. Dream bi ni new bi na amasa de na ba enti senki ye jai adwin bi dwene ene sam abobo die bi ye jai a enkasa stress no amara say no enkemba. Now one of the things that I see when say consciousness is about bringing your entire history to bear on your next step, your next breath, your next moment, and this is very important statement. Most of that the reason why in pebe brain ya ho chere say di nyoma bi esi na no bi anyway say nyina na ene di ni nyina gu basket mu ene ye pese so bu ni nyina ne enti your conscious state it is bearing up because of our past history, and we are using that to project our next step, our next breath, and all those things. But one of the things in say we may not have control over nyoma esi wa abonten, but the nyoma esi wa yetrimuni de esi enya control over it. Sebio COVID esi no we control over it. Traffic na all kind of so we need control over it. But how you react to them any kind who control over it. TV na wote ho sa na wahwe COVID news ni we say election news na ama na Trump na Biden na why you so worked out, you have control over it. And sometimes new money be ha. Yes, new money was outside and to say obi ewu sebio manu desuma oyire wu kuna wu bewu. Those things you don't have control over it. But new money be wa ye ankasa no e wo ye mu no overthinking we say no you wo. And one of the things you want to say, most of this new mana I don't know what like outside them. Those ones, some of them, yes, they may invade us, like I said, and a little bit, they harm us. So will be a woo and all those who is very close, who need control. That is fine. But those ones are yet self-imposed ones. We need to do something about them. And some of the self-imposed ones, it be the mabubodin. Now, me perceive for a few minutes, we touch on some of these things, and I want to link that out. Those ones, in the medical aspect, link it to our spiritual life, because God in his inherent wisdom, and my anatomy professor Bako Sadi Okaim, right from the way they go, the one of cancer is stuck in my head. I say God in his own wisdom, and the Pieta Papa no, I say we be seeing and I'm a kind of Prophet Enkman. Nyankopon wane nyansemu no, oputu mechanism in place for us to deal with some of this. But you move no, a lot of the problems, hate, worry, envy, fear, jealousy, frustration, guilt, feeling, resentment, self-centeredness, and a desire for approval. Most of these things that you're born to deal with, I say, baby, and yet, obi and creating some of these things. Yeah, and Intino Makeno may become called a dear friend say undercover agent. Say you can mainstream stresses now. We not and said that can as one of them. But the entire mechanic say they are what we call undercover agents. Once they're undercover for much, I say no more or more cause or more problems. The issue is sometimes these ones they magnify and I say they modify the effect of our stresses. As I say, they make our stresses worse, and as they try to modify it. For instance, drugs like morphine, the diazepams, and all those ones. Alcohol. Smoking, caffeine. A lot of people kroma and they sound of pay away by or coffee and they keep away. It might not be bad, but most times, these people do that, to give them what we call a temporary false perception of relief. But at the end, also problem, I say no, or you're dealing with, we've not dealt with it. If they say what that one not, and then I'm saying one now, and I do need now person about job, nipa bako, or person about job, bakum you know me and say no. Because Obeso see 8-bedroom house in Ghana. It's 8-bedroom house. Ghana no crowd with 1 week no about. And then I'm saying Obeso see 8-bedroom near Kun say when your man no yamanu on America on Bruchiri, Babo Brano. Just getting people's approval and Obe job ya na into okwa no so won coffee ya se na be obekipu a week into one way ya osofo kumam na ehuna mane o chera nko na oda ho afera so mpanyimfo na ya kwanchera kese na omommo mpae oye nche na osofo ye mu twakuru na me fasa ama. But these are some of the real challenges we are putting our elders and leaders in and some of them we cause it ourselves. We are looking for people's approval. People who don't even care. And some of these things are medical by the alcohol, the smoking, the caffeine, the drugs, What they do is they blunt the body's coping mechanism. With some of these stresses, A blanting like a man say, oh yeah, somebody's taking care of it. But most times, say the effect of this nyomane kope, the problem nankasana is still there. So that is the undercover agent. And adiaba konana say, how do I kind of like bulletproof myself? And most times, these are some of the things. How do I kind of like stress proof myself? How is it even possible say bet me I get a stress-free life? But one of the things that medical can say most times, Nyaman bebre a ramp up your stress na the nerves. Now nerves no, every nerve near three things. It needs blood supply, it needs space, it needs mobility, and good nutrition. One of the things I see when we say your body and I see your body, it contains 45 miles of nerves. 45 miles. Meaning Dallas, where to where a bit my base of 45 miles. But your body contains 45 miles of nerves. But some 45 miles of nerves, it forms just 2% of our body mass. The nerves only just 2%. But it will amaze you, say, the nerves now form 2%, you know. It consumes about 20 to 25% of your blood supply. Internet will be the moja nkoni no say ni brain na na say we say no we nya enuane ndo na wo moja na kona fa so nya bibi ti stroke pe we say na wadwodwo no, because the brain, which happens to be the biggest nerve, no, is so sensitive to blood supply and as oxygen. And you know, most times your stress and we say that it affects a lot of times in the blood supply, because more general can say call the other parts and then we say common nerves and then we say call into the muscles because you want to run away. Adrenaline, not kicking, noradrenaline, cortisol level, there's a fight, it is ready. So the nerve is relegated to the background, they are ramping up. Now, and that, you know, yes, and these are some of the things that happen. Now, my main fact and quickly just touch on that. You say you bet me the see baby, you bet me up on there. I think that we have just barely 10 minutes. One, I dear about one, me person take it time. Now, me sure say some nutrition is be more platforms will shed more light to it. Is that vitamin B? Vitamin B, a group of vitamins, they were specifically kind of like made for the nerves. And absence of this from your regular diet, and as we say, you know, it reduces our resistance to stress. So in terms of your nutrition, and as you do any DMO, and you are near vitamin B, you know, a very critical. And probably we can look at some of the food now and some of these things. And let me quickly just stress just a few of them. One, vitamin B1, the thiamine. And no, it's responsible for cognition, irritability, fatigue. It is a we need B1 now. Cognition say ultimi e kaya de anyway say no, it's affected. When check kakre na wabre, uni appetite, learning ability e form. That one na insomnia. Coordination in terms of movement, left laterality, like left hand coordination, those things in is affected. Vitamin B2 near lethargy, what has it? What fear? Vitamin B3, the nicotinic acid, they no any headaches, irritability, be a crabby na ubuafu. You be brought to us and made the mini cocoa cacre, made the way I may be no. Most of the bedroom crana, the level B12 in our form, B3. No. And for some of them, the same thing: sleeplessness, memory loss, emotional instability, mental confusion. And you know, without much time, these are some of it. And say, and you are in Runa, I say, what vitamin B12 is very critical. Help us to maintain apathy, like as in home tiredness, as I am there be an baby. These are all the effects of it. And whenever you have these things happening, it has a lot of effect on our peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system here, they are affected. And that internal way bear in mind, and not sending danger message into the bigger internal brain. In this, I will come or no down. Meaning, say no danger messages, unnecessary danger messages is sent into the brain for all the adrenaline and then the cycle need to continue. So that is how we break the cycle. Because when it is now, a ramp up nerves, nerve and ramp up, they are picking danger message, they are sending it to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus on the danger message now, they go into what? The pituitary. Now the cycle goes on. Until we can reverse the cycle by doing the other way around, eating very well, getting food that is very good in the vitamin B, That is one. We need to say vitamin C and E. One of these vitamins help to boost our immune system. So in times of crisis, anyway, say you hear say COVID, anyway, say one of the things that you hear and say, more immune system, they were not dying as much. And that is the other one. The other thing, me say, you hear, I make and say, nerves no they hear mobility. Most time over clinic anyway say sometimes I did a friend and say what we call deep breathing. You move a breathe. You breathe in your apical like diaphragm a muscle. Normally say baby say bibi chire wo so no we say always Crawford matter to say kamakoma to yem. That ye chi kasa na kawakoma to yem no. How do you do it? You are taking deep breath and calming yourself down. In fact, there is a physiological process behind it. But say what me traho or down can so just calm yourself from your environment. We don't start to belly. You fill your belly with a deep breath and then breathe out. It calms a lot of them because with diaphragm, there's a nerve will be a connected according to your friend said the phrenic nerve. It has so much importance in calming our system down. And the more now we be to say aerobic exercise, you take deep breath in and out, it clears out your lungs. Okay. In fact, what happened is we know say things like the aerobic exercise is designed to stimulate the lungs and the heart very healthily, because medical can be to say your heart rate or work out and also or exercising well heart rate drop it. And in fact in most athletes we say heart rate is so low and it takes a lot of effort for them to hit the 100 a year. My typical example very quickly. Samemfa say machine your machine you try blocks. Okay, machine a consume memfa say you try 100 blocks. Machine a consume memfa say 90 gallons to get just one block. Whatever you try one block. Machine a consuming 90 gallons and say they try one block. Now me machine and no consuming 60 gallons and say they try one block. Me know the one efficient. One machine a better in them. Memfa say you try 100 blocks. You move even inside your heart na and nam say yen things there aerobic exercise near working out. Your heart rate is already very high. Into the slightest thing, now I hit the normal range and I go overboard. Into the slightest thing already in the heart rate is over 80-90 beats per minute. Into the slightest thing, catches on nothing about because we hit 100, It was actually a idea can say breathlessness, tachycardia. The other thing to say aerobic exercise in the ways and they increase the body stores of resources can be used during crisis. Normally be your body need to use during crisis, and I say these are some of the aerobic exercise, In fact, one example, do you know say obi or moderate intensity exercise, your body nankasankasana secrete what we call endogenous opioids. Opioids and I can say chroma, you are getting opioid epidemic. Opiates are analgesic, painkillers. Your body now secretes its own painkillers. In fact, so be moderate intensity exercise over 6 miles, your body secretes about 10 milligrams of morphine, that endogenous morphine, into the system. When you ER cramp, unless you pay no to you amount that amount. So God in his own wisdom has even designed our body to take care of some of this pain we have. But the resources into Yankopon boy and they Adam, yes, you answer school, or then Adam and Eve try aiding Tromono, or Mamma Mantana Fakwan common sanction with them famino. He gave them an opportunity to tender it, to be active. You must be brain, and especially within our Ghanaian community, we are so guilty of it. Yeah, you man kwasa, yanko baby, who made a cry any kind of interaction. And COVID is to make it worse. And in terms of, and I'm say your time in these are some of the things that I want us, because me person me this baby rest, sleep, and leisure. Becca wants them into details. We need a good night's sleep. In fact, a good night's sleep does pay. It apart from your diet, any exercise, and nap see with me that. And one of the other things I make, the same thing, Ghanaian community, is that most of us don't even take time to move outside our homes. You move baby, no matter how many years you have better no kruma. There are so many resources and some even tourist attractions be just within our locality. You see that. Me auntie be me New York. Or better no kruma for over there say. Manhattan, Krano see order. For over 20 years. Yes, surroundings, sometimes we need just a change of environment to clear our minds. And with the message, at some point you for our platform and so for her. Sometimes I will pray say there will be a time Ghanaian church. Sometimes you be no. You take a church to organize a church service even on a park outside. And it will be even a very good form of evangelism, because we've done this before with some group and it worked. People have had their friends invited and they join up for our Vespers. In fact, in California, it was something an Advent will be a tire. Sabbath afternoons, we look for one lake. We are called Christline Lake. You organize it. You carpool. You call Honoma. Even non-Adventists, because they join us. You call Trunani or Kiwi, you campfire. At the campfire, will be a preacher, a very nice ceremony. You wear your tunium near Bompire, and most of our non-Adventist friends were more than willing to join us. We had a way of getting them. And in fact, we've gotten a lot of them to go. I've gotten to know Adventist message just through that. So sometimes your evangelism doesn't necessarily say yes, or we have some of these strategies. And it will also help our church members refocus our energies. It even brings bonding and cohesion within the church. And say sometimes in some of this environment to even interact with ourselves. We know we don't have so much differences than we think we are. And these are some of the ways and also what to even distress for the leadership of the church. Manusi. One of the other things I see when I say, sometimes things happen, and sometimes we need to face it. We need to prepare our mind to face the worst and plan for it. It is good to have hope, but it's also good to plan for the worst. Just because trust and say, don't think about tomorrow. Say, if can it be? Plan for tomorrow. Sometimes what new may be a baby senka ye plan for it. Adiam rofone idea or no. They plan ahead. It sometimes say ke tenase na ye hwe ye nneoma daily ye nneoma bi enkoye no kwan be so ne befa so aboa manaye. And sometimes just taking yourself outside the home environment and sitting in a very nice, peaceful, quiet environment on a trail somewhere just by some water body bino helps you to even think and refocus. So sometimes we need to face it and plan for it. Meditation there, I say, I can watch him later. Because near me person me can say, sometimes some of the problems we have, God have a divine prescription for it. Now those divine prescription, me person me this here. Na otsena nyame adoma, we'll take a look at some of these divine prescription. Be can want some hate, jealousy, worry, and a whole lot of things. Sanyoma ibia enunti emu bibiri ya stress out. We are stressed out to say obi wa a time. Ate na kuma mumma. Hey, oyensu okra me nso bi nom. Nso one nipa na nete aso dem. Enunti we are so stressed into asore kra na okọ no. Nyankopon fie na nka se ye dwarakobia no. Wo de time ti ehọ kra mpo no okotena so dem a na kuma ese ebo peri. Obi se mo kra o ye kra mfa no odwen se ono ne ye de no. It's supposed to be a place of to distress and to focus on God. And a stress level you should do up. But we discuss some of this into details. The divine prescription God have for us in dealing with some of these stresses. We're going to talk about water. We're going to talk about sleep. And I hope say me more you too much now. I hope say and that time kakra na yes no we might have gotten some out of it. Onyankopon share no nka ye ho no mwaye na intimi dealing with this stresses of life ekuye no onyame nka ye ho.
Amen. Dr. Radin Shira ya dawsepa nyumre wakansem pi na di akyere agidifo wo yana Radi Yesu dimu yada Dr. Benjamin Bediakon ase Dr. Therapist Sabre owie Lomalinda University oye juma Maryland or sign pursue a new speciality na juma no emu yada na se power nyumre kwan Onyankopon afa no so na wa combine nimdia wa free school mu ani nyame mu doctor sofoba PK nti me ho say look di bi wonu Radi Enshira doctor yenua Daniel Nyakumen sanso da was say nyumre woni e besom ye agidifo wala isu a nyumre mu ne yesu nyina sro tumfu Nyankopon say onhyira mo Nyankopon eya adom a ochina 5 o'clock you be doctor assign HB. You say na doctor na the ABA or my family will be sa question.
So for what the ni nyina time ni nyina wo mo so mo makwan dia we have a lot of time to spend ni nyina.
You say and that brofo no bi mo ebi wo soro pa na what the aba from kakra amaye na afi so no stress ya bia eku ye pa yi nti we my kwan na afi assignment nso adema no do ebitimi no perceive stress scale no me die di omaye nyina ye na yenhwe Radi Nyankopon ebe hira ye nyina edesia ma be bompaye a etwato e dia maye but before so be bompaye homeda e na ye wura mi agidifo Nyankopon e de hira bebre agum se de doctor e ka no yi amanfo mo adwen na e focus on Radi Nyankopon a ye mfiri homeda mu empie no na Radi detoxify your body no na fe waye fufu said ye be ya ye binya hoden na ye de afesi abrabo mu ehaw enonti ye be tie nyumba ko biga na edesiama abon paye amaye bia na edakofi announcement no onso odi amaye
love divine, love sincerely, joy of heaven to come down, facing us that humble. all thy faithfulness is strong. Jesus, thou art all compassion, pure abundant love thou art. Visit us with thy salvation, and every trembling heart. Breathe, oh, breathe thy loving spirit into every troubled breast. Love us only, the inherit. Let us find the promised rest. Take away our bend to sinning, Alpha and Omega be, and faith as its beginning, set our hearts at liberty. Come, Almighty, to deliver, let us all thy grace receive. Suddenly return on never, nevermore thy temples leave. Thee we will be always blessing, serve thee as thy hopes above. Pray and praise thee, Christ before thee, lost in wonder, love and praise. Amen.
Esramoma yamo empire. Onyame mangani. Pediampon nyame. Omeda nwumrei. Eda wase. Odi ye kwachinchini ye na watwi mu ahwe ye nso na nwumrei. Ona modom so. Ena wakwa bedi akonso ehyira ye aseda enka odin. Yehunu na nwumrei se atiti ni bi wo hwa ye ya na yekofa ba ye ho so. Anwumrei ma yemfa ade nyina nkọ ho mpaibom. Na yenya yade nyina so ma. Yesoa ye dadwene ye haw ne amane no. Ne ye de ba wasenua no ase aboa ye nse ye beja na ho. Na ye mfiri wanim nsa nso amfa nkofie. Eno ene ani da so aye hwehwe. Nti anwumrei ye da wase ewo wakwa. Ye de ne hye wonsa nyansa ene nimdi a wo de adom no. Setwa so ye ne kese. Yede na busu yanso hye wonsa bambo ene hweso panyina. Anwumrei kaye nyina bom ni hyira ye nsronko titru. Homeda imo no ma yenya nidaso Kristo Yesu demonti. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Edamuna sesa na juimu ne ebesomye. Nyame boa ochina se behiem 9 a.m. for your Bible no. NCC